Hi everyone, Ashley Cannon Newell here, and today for Paper Tray Inks Make It Monday, I have a video tutorial showing how I finished some inside of some card designs. We always decorate the outsides of the cards, but what about those insides? They deserve lots of attention and great designs as well. So I'm going to give you some tips, tricks, and some ideas on how you can make those insides greetings pop as well. All right, here I have a card already designed. It's just Aqua Mist cardstock using the Sweet Life, and I used a stripe impression plate on the outside of it. And I'm just going to use the same stamp, the Sweet Life, on the inside as well, and just show step by step on how I'm going to finish this off. So the technique I'm going to be using to show you for the inside of this card is background stamping, adding a border dies, and also using vellum. So I'm combining all of these in one, but in your card design on the inside, you can just use one, or two, or all three of them like I'm using here. So I'm inking up the second step of the Sweet Life stamp. This is one of the single roses in this one, and I inked it in Berry Sorbet, and this is on Aqua Mist cardstock. And I'm just using now the third step that you use to stamp the overlay, which is like a shadowing effect, and I'm using that Pure Poppy. So the Pure Poppy really pops off of the Berry Sorbet, and since it's already on Aqua Mist cardstock, that's why I decided not to use the first step of the stamp, which is that solid image. But you could as well if you wanted to do that. So now I'm thinking about adding some other roses here in the design. And I was thinking about using that little rose cluster there, the three of them, but I think I'm going to go with the smaller cluster so I can add a few of them sporadically. So I'm going to be doing the same thing, using the second step of the stamping the roses here, and I'm just going to stamp them, just a few of them here, into the inside of the card. And I'm going to use the third step, and that's the outline or the shadowing stamp with Pure Poppy ink again, just like I did on the larger one. And I'm just creating a background here. You can add more. You can add other stamp designs in this step, like polka dots. I really love to do that, like polka dots with an Aqua Mist ink or a Versamark watermark ink would also work very well here, even on top of the rose design, just to give you a little bit more texture with your background stamping. So feel free to venture out and be creative with your background stamping and this step, because that is what will make it pop through the vellum, which I will add in the next step. Okay, so now that I have that done, I'm going to go ahead and get out my next stamp set, which is Inside and Out Thank You. Okay, so this stamp set is very good for people who are looking for sentiments. They add on the outside of the card front, the front of the card, and also on the inside. So you can have your sentiment and also a greeting. And I'm just using this one for the greeting on the inside, but you can also use it on the outside. All right, this is a vellum here, as you can see. And I'm going to apply it right here into the card front. And I have here a greeting. This is one of the thank you gratitude greetings that come in this stamp set. And I'm just going to stamp it directly onto the vellum. The key point with stamping the vellum, you can use different kinds of inks, but the key is to make sure that it dries very, very well, so you don't smudge it because of the type of paper it is. All right, so now I'm taking a larger thank you sentiment stamp, and this is from Think Big Favorites 5, and I'm making it up in True Black ink and also stamping it onto the vellum directly below the greeting. So you can use another color here, or you can keep it uniform and use the black as I am. It's all up to you. So there it is, stamped there. Again, make sure that your ink dries. I'm just going to continue on with the video so you can see the entire process of how I finish this off. And you can see here how you can see all of that beautiful rose stamping in the background and how you can add more stamping and how it would show through. All right, now I have my filigree border die. This particular die is, and I already have it die cut with some pattern paper. There's some very, very fine dotted pattern paper here. I'm just going to take a little bit of some liquid adhesive and apply it to the borders, top and bottom borders of my vellum so I can adhere it into the inside of the card so it will stay in place. And this pretty much dries clear, so you're not going to be able to see it once I add my borders to the top and bottom. So I'm not really worried about the type of adhesive you use in this step. So just go ahead and just lay that down there, and you can see that it's starting to all come together. All right, so here's my filigree border. I'm just going to go ahead and add some adhesive to the back of that and adhere both to the one to the top and then one to the bottom. And don't worry about, adding adhesive at every little part when you're using the filigree border. There's so many just, details, and they're beautiful details in this particular border die, but adding adhesive to every little point can get very tedious. I just add them, at different points, and then it adheres just perfectly, just perfectly. So I'll just show you a little bit later how you can always still add more adhesive if you need to, because a part of it may be popping up or something like that. So I'm going to do the same thing for this other border die cut, and I'm going to adhere it to the bottom part of the inside of the card. So as you can see here, just simply adding one of the border, using the border dies and adding them to the top and the bottom on the inside really makes a big difference. If you don't want to use vellum, you can also use a different color cardstock or pattern paper and then stamp on the pattern paper and add your borders on the inside of the fold right there and at the bottom of that inside part. It really kind of frames it out and adds a lot of little detail. And the cool thing about it is that the border dies, they're flat. So you're adding texture and shape, but it's flat, so it won't be raised or cause any problems with the card closing and mailing. So I really suggest using those border dies in these particular spots and framing the inside of whatever you decide to do, whether it's background stamping or something like that. Okay, so back to what I was talking about earlier. As you see, I just added just a tad bit of adhesive to the corner there because it was just popping off after I just trimmed it up. But here's this card. It's already finished inside and out. So don't forget to finish the inside of your cards as well. Okay, I have another card to share with you. And this one is a holiday card, Season's Greetings. I use Background Basics wood grain on the front, and then I stamped the holly with some berries, added a sentiment and some ribbon. And this is a stylish sentiment. It's a Christmas version. And I'm going to be using one of the larger sentiments here. And I chose to share with you how you can just simply stamp on the inside of your cards and not add anything else for those who really like the clean and simple look. Just stamp and use extra stamps, the little small stamps that come in all these different stamp sets. They're very decorative in nature. How you can use those to just accent, the sentiment and the greeting that you're using on the inside of those cards. So I just inked my sentiment in pure poppy ink, and I'm just making sure I have a good impression here. and just stamping it in the center. And really, you can leave it like this, and of course you're done. But if you wanted to add more, again, you can use a border die, the top and the bottom. You could have stamped it on pattern paper, uh, or you can also just add accent stamping. And that's what I'm doing here with the star. And the stars, that star came in the Stylish Sentiment stamp set. So look for those little decorative stamps that come in your stamp sets, the ones that tend not to be maybe used as much, and an accent around your sentiment, and see how much this pops just from just that one little sentiment. And I brought out that star that was in there, and I just kept it going with the theme and stamped the stars around it. And there's your holiday card, nice and flat. It would even be flatter if I didn't have that ribbon on there. Okay, so one more tip here. Here's another card. I have here the Frilly Flowers dies, and I made an embellishment out of it. And I had stitching around it. And you can see here how you can see the stitching on the inside. Well, one way you could prevent that is if you didn't stitch actually on your card front. But I'm going to show you a trick here on how you can add cardstock, and I'm using pattern paper here to the inside of a card. And I just trimmed it down so it's 1/4 inch smaller on all sides. So it's 5 1/4 inch, and I think it's about a little over 9 inches. And I just adhered it right to the front, and then I'm just going to close it, and that's going to just follow that already scored crease line that I have in the card. And it looks like I just needed some more adhesive here due to the stitching, so I'm just going to add a little bit more stitching to make sure that's nice and secure. Making sure this side is secure, and it is. Okay, so just make sure everything is pushed down. And now you can see that when you open up your card, it has a nice pattern and a clean design on it on both sides. So you can hide your stitching, and you can also bring in another element of just having a pattern on the inside. So for those for you who like pattern paper, this is a great way to add it into your designs. Okay, this is a die cut, and this is the die movers and shakers poppers. And this is the spiral one that you can use to add different die cuts or elements off of to make it spiral up and pop out. I'm just going to add a sentiment to it. I'm just going to add some adhesive to it and push down here so that it's secure. I'm just going to make sure that it's set there. And of course, with the interactive cards, you could use this for the inside, but I also thought of another way you can add something to the inside of your cards. People love customizing, customized cards and customized greetings. So what better way than to add a name to it? We have all of these alphabet stamps and dies, so use them up to personalize the greetings with their name. So I already have here die cut some letters, and I just have die cut an M, an A, R, and a Y for Mary. And you can use whoever your recipient's name is to add it to it. You can definitely use these die cuts, or like I said, even the stamps, and add the person's name on the inside, just directly onto the inside of the card, like with a little bit of stitching, just adhering it to it, stamping it on there. But what I'm doing is I'm adding it actually to the popper around the spiral edge. So when the person opens it, they're going to see their name spiral around with Mary. So just to make sure my M here is just really secure, I need to make sure my adhesive sets there. But I just thought it was really cool to be able to use those alpha dies that we have and also alpha stamps to personalize and customize the cards to really let your recipient know that you made this card specifically for them. It's just a great added touch. And if you can also use an interactive design like one of these poppers, that would even be great as well. So there's so many different options you can do. And in adding the die cuts, the alpha die cuts or the alpha stamps So this is just one of the ways that I thought was really fun and festive, especially for kids and even adults. I think would love this because it's a very cute surprise. So the front says happy birthday, and then you open it and it says Mary. So it's like happy birthday, Pop Mary. So really hope that Mary would like something like that. So just to give you a little bit of an idea, I'm using Frilly Flower stamp set again, and I'm just going to use some classic craft ink and stamp some flowers directly onto the pattern paper to show you how you can continue on and stamp on pattern paper and just keep um, embellishing and decorating as well the inside, even with an interactive card feature like the popper in there. So I'm just going to add a different size flower here, ink that up. As you want to make sure that you still leave enough room to actually personally sign the card. So I like to use the lighter inks that, you would have something to write over it and it would still show up. So I have a sentiment here, and this is from the Movers and Shakers stamp set. And I'm just going to add it also over the flowers, just so that there's some sort of little greeting in there as well, and that the person who's given it can sign directly under that and on top of the flowers. So I'm just going to ink this up in some dark chocolate ink so that it stands out and that the person can read it very easily. Because it's a lot of pattern and pattern going on, so I don't want it to get lost. Okay, so that's my card, and so you can see how you can just keep stamping. You could have a larger sentiment there. I chose the more wordier one, but just really have fun and using the die cuts as far as with the interactive poppers or some other slide feature for the inside. Also the alpha dies and the stamps that coordinate or they're just standalone. You can personalize for your recipient and really make it special for them. So don't forget to do that as well. And you can see here that it's not even that thick. You can still mail it. Just going over everything, adding all the little border dies, the vellum, the background stamping, pattern paper. These are all the things you can remember what to do when you're thinking about finishing the inside of your cards. The quickest and easiest thing to do is just to stamp the sentiment. But like I said, don't forget those little small stamps and add the accents to the inside. And use those border dies from the top and the bottom. They really frame out the inside of it. And you can really stamp a lot more as well in there. And also, don't forget you can add more background stamping and using vellum for an overlay. And you can also definitely use pattern paper for a clean, great finish. So you can have a nice decorative pattern going on with those poppers and things like that. For the clean and simple designers, of course, stamping with those accent stamps. This works perfectly. For Paper Tray Ink, I'm Ashley Cannon Newell. Thanks for watching.